biggest fraud in the entire history of Pokemon. What? Why are they so confident?
Hey Gengar Gang, what is going on? My name is Ryan, this is the Analytic Gengar, and welcome to another video. And welcome, friends, to probably one of the most hilarious Fridays I have had in quite a while. So, I'm really happy that my previous video got delayed because now I get to release a Friday video, and boy, oh boy, what a Friday it is. As you can see on screen, unfortunately, Logan Paul has confirmed in a video that his Pokemon card box purchase for $3.5 million for a sealed first edition base set booster case is in fact fake. It was a decently put together fake. And even how it was put together as a counterfeit box, a resealed box, dare I say, has raised a significant amount of questions. Now, I plan on addressing that in a completely separate video as we take a deeper look into the counterfeiting process, but in today's video, I'll mostly be focusing in on providing some initial commentary, some initial reaction, some meme-worthy moments, and of course, things of the sort. Now, before we get started, as always, welcome, friends, to my channel. If you're new here, definitely feel free to leave a like on the video if you learned anything new, and hey, if you really like today's content, you can support the channel by subscribing. It's the freest, cheapest, and easiest way to help our happy little community continue to grow, and as always, thanks for your viewership. Now, getting into it, of course, IGN article was the one that looked the nicest when I was trying to screen record. Link will be down below, and of course I will also link the Logan Paul video because that was also really well put together, so I definitely recommend checking that out. It's one of the videos in a series of Pokemon videos, and at the time of recording, I'm almost positive it's #1 on YouTube. So safe to say it's catching quite a bit of eyes, which we'll talk about again a little bit in today's video. So let's go through the article first, get some headlines. So obviously Logan Paul made headlines when he purchased a first edition base set booster box. He's bought packs, he's done this, but Logan Paul also now recently posted a new video simply titled "I lost $3.5 million on fake Pokemon cards," and obviously it has ended for him not that well. Now this article goes on to note, a bunch of different things, but long story short, in case you've been living under a Pokemon rock for the past Pokemon week, Logan Paul bought a huge purchase. He posts on Twitter how cool it is and how it might be the only one in the world. Little did he know, Gary has one of those boxes already, so it's not the only one in the world. And then the awkward second part of that story is the fact that almost immediately, many questions about the box's authenticity immediately came up, including, but not limited to, the origin of the story, which was that there was an eBay seller in March of 21 who was in Canada and wouldn't let people see the box, and then he had a bunch of other stories depending on who he was asking. A bunch of people landed on different sides of the coin with this. It is Logan Paul, and I made a video commenting about how, Logan Paul is going to receive scrutiny no matter what he does. Then, of course, there were other people who were like, it's a $3.5 million transaction. We should believe that the weight of that transaction effectively works to, validate itself. And then there were other people who thought, let's get Pokemon experts in there today. So that's where we ended up. Logan Paul went ahead and, after receiving all of the speculation and being the source of all this drama, he basically traveled to Chicago to verify his purchase with the Baseball Card Exchange. Baseball Card Exchange are the folks who authenticated the box, and they had said that, yes, we believe in our opinion for this to be a genuine box. Now, during the video, which I obviously can't play because it's Logan's video, they, go ahead and review the exterior of the box. The quote-unquote expert points out several things that I personally believe are in fact valid as it relates to the authenticity of a box. When you look for a box, you look at signs of wearing. And the fact that the logo of the box was weathered in the same pattern as the cardboard would striate is a legitimate way to authenticate age. However, all that said, if it's a counterfeit box that sat on a store shelf for 20 years, it's still a counterfeit box. That's the whole point, is that even though the aging was proper, there were tons of other things that could have, indicated that, hey, this wasn't as authentic a box as we thought it was. And that's why it is very, very important to not only consider one factor, but a multi-factored approach to authentication, because it simply can't be based on, oh, it looks old, therefore it is old. Now, Paul reacts to the discovery angrily after they open up the box, and then the owner of the BBCE says, "We all got duped," to which I immediately started laughing and said, "No, sir, you got duped, because I guarantee you that if all of this is real and genuine in the video as we're seeing it, I can guarantee you there was a call to Logan's either bank or his legal team almost immediately, because I have a very strong feeling Logan will be getting his money back." And then in addition to that, the article kind of wraps up towards the bottom here saying, Logan Paul brought with him a card collector named Matt Allen. So on screen right now is a picture of not Poke Guru or Collectibles Guru or whatever the bald man's name was. And I swear this is in fact a different person. Now, contrary to popular belief, I actually thought this guy was Collectibles Guru, so I freaked out at first because I was like, oh man, not him again. And then I realized it's not him, it's just another random bald guy who buys really expensive Pokemon cards and ends up being the source of fake Pokemon cards. Putting aside all things equal, I think bald people and fake Pokemon cards have some sort of weird correlation that we're not looking at yet, but again, we can always take a look at that later on. Now, so Matt Allen purchased the box from this guy and this is a post from his Instagram, which is also featured in the video. Again, look at the video, it's really good drama. It's also very artfully done. And this guy is the guy who, for one reason or the other, had a million different stories on eBay about where the box came from. He bought it at an estate sale. He bought a house from an estate sale that he found the cards in the attic of the house that he bought in the estate sale, or something of the sort. And then there's another story where Alina Lopez magically appeared out of thin air and delivered the box to him and then proceeded to be a guest star on this channel. I don't know. Look, there's a bunch of stories out there. This guy be making stuff up. Long story short. Now, we're at that point where we now know that Matt Allen, again, this guy, bought it from this guy, and this guy is the source of this box. So this is the guy who's going to be getting a very interesting phone call sooner or later, whether it be from eBay, whether it be from someone's bank, or whether it be from someone's lawyer. And then the article highlights what the video went through, which is that, he would have never purchased it if it hadn't been approved by the BBCE. And then Allen says he'll begin a new process to remedy the situation. So yeah, it sounds like Matt Allen is going to get his $2.7 million back so that he can then go ahead and get Logan Paul his $3.5 million back. And Logan even notes that Matt Allen is a pretty legit and/or pretty big sports card collector, and so he has no reason to believe that he won't be getting his money back. And then, I'm a super positive person, bro, and I'll always be the one to look on the bright side, but, I'm trying, but this is very hard. And I feel you, Logan. The one thing I will say is that as much, fun, quote unquote, as a lot of people seem to be having, I genuinely don't feel happy that Logan Paul got ripped off, because again, if this is a real situation, and I'm gonna put aside all the speculation that this was done for clicks and this was done for likes and this was done for this and that, if this is genuinely just a Pokemon card collector getting fake Pokemon cards, I'm not gonna be the person to take pride or joy in seeing that person go through that process, because that sucks. Like, I actually went on the video and shared one of my stories too. By the way, you guys should go like my comment. But on the video itself, I shared that story about how I bought a huge Gold Star collection, or rather a huge, old card collection, and the Gold Star, like the main card in the lot, had scratches on it that the seller didn't even tell me about and then proceeded to ghost me on. So, you know, I spent that much money, and I'm pretty sure I'm going to make the money back over time, but even $1 spent on counterfeit Pokemon cards is a heartbreaking thing, and I don't understand why people have been taking so much pride and joy in seeing Logan go through that too, because we all know what it's like to get ripped off. We all know what it's like to get absolutely destroyed by a scam, and if you don't, I'm really happy for you. But to see such a big scam on such a high level, it still sucks, and I really can't understand what goes on with some people in this hobby where that is a source of schadenfreude for them, where schadenfreude is defined as what you're seeing on screen right now, basically means you take pleasure in other people's pain, and that's just terrible. Anywho, so I genuinely feel for Logan. If it is for clicks, thanks for the drama, I guess. I'm a big fan of Law and Order, so I guess I watch that, even though it's fake, and I still take joy in it, so I guess I could still take some joy in this too. But, I genuinely believe that this was, at least in some part, a real scenario, a real story that played out, and unfortunately, it's just a situation where, a collector spent a lot of money on a set of cards, but honestly, the same principles hold true. It sucks. It really stinks. It's heartbreaking. It's discouraging. And it really reminds all of us to, double check all of our booster boxes, double check all of our vintage stuff, because honestly, you genuinely never know until you know. And sometimes at that point, it's just too late. So that's where we're at right now. Logan Paul will probably be getting his money back, but I think this entire thing has highlighted quite a few different things. So first things first, I want to point out the fact that the PokeJew was at this entire event, at least this part, for the authentication. So I am happy, because whether it be me, a combination of people, or Logan Paul's common sense finally kicking in, but Logan did in fact bring a actual Pokemon expert with him. And the PokeJew was one of the first people, at least in the way I heard the video, who pointed out the fact that the boxes looked a little sus. So I'm happy to see one person there. The good news is they didn't bring a team of experts. Like, imagine if TCA, PokeRev, Leonhardt, a bunch of other people were there with their individual first edition base set boxes, only for the box, only for the booster case to be opened up to be revealed as a fake. It would have been a little silly, because honestly, because the box was fake, it only really took one expert to kind of point it out right away. Honestly, any of the people in the room should have been able to tell you that it was fake because of the G.I. Joe cards that were in the box itself. Now, the other thing that I wanted to comment on is this gentleman right here. He is the owner of BBCE. Now, here's the thing with this entire scenario. BBCE has actually gone as far as to put out a little bit of a statement, and you can actually see that on screen right now. In March 2021, we were asked to provide our good faith opinion and verify that this case had been opened or had not been opened and tampered with. We evaluated it. In our opinion, the case was in its original state. This past Saturday, we opened that case to verify our opinion. We were extremely disappointed to learn it was inauthentic. We have authenticated tens of thousands of sealed card products for nearly 20 years and have meticulously developed a structure and framework to provide our expert opinion. They are now reevaluating our approach to all sealed cases going forward. We've also decided to halt the review of Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Cases and boxes until we assess and revise our process to avoid this happening in the future again. So, interesting choice of words, but I do want to point a few things out. Interestingly enough, there are, on their Twitter account anyway, only 104 followers. There's also only 2,745 people following them. So, it's a bit awkward because honestly I've never heard of these guys before, and up until this whole Logan Paul hoo-ha, I genuinely couldn't even tell you who these guys were. Now, because they are the baseball card exchange, the way I look at it from a sports analogy, they could be really great football players, right? They could be amazing football players. They could have the best offensive line, the quarterback is like a laser arm, whatever the case is. If you're playing on a tennis court, you're just not doing it right. And that's what I think happened here. These guys are at least self-proclaimed baseball experts. So stick to baseball. And that's why I think it's actually funny that their statement quite literally specifically identifies, "We have decided to halt the review of Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Cases or boxes until we further assess." In my opinion, the way I read that, it looks like they're basically saying, we thought we knew Pokemon and Yu-Gi-Oh! We thought we understood it, but we clearly don't have the skill, the talent, or the capacity to genuinely verify these things. In the past, we have said we have verified these things, but we don't have the subject matter expertise to accurately identify this stuff. We should stick to baseball cards. So, that's what I personally think is going on here, and this entire thing has actually sparked a larger debate. Now, going back to this gentleman real quick, here's the genuine truth of the matter. Like I said before, he could be a great football player, but he can't play tennis. And in the same way, he could be a perfect baseball card authenticator, but the genuine truth of the matter is, you do not know the first thing about Pokemon cards. And you need to know that in order to be able to genuinely authenticate something with any type of authority. In a previous video, I've made the comment that this entire thing has only helped to reinforce the idea that genuine authentication by subject matter experts is needed in this hobby. And I've even gone as far as to say, you'll probably net $1 million your first year operating, assuming you can pull it all together and create a genuine authentication process that people believe in. But here's the other thing. I personally believe that we are currently experiencing a crisis of competency. And my friends over at Wisecrack actually did a video on this. Their video was slightly different. So what does all of that mean? Effectively, we're in a phase where we don't know who the genuine authenticator is. We don't know who is competent enough to make a decision on authenticity. And the genuine truth of the matter is that there's a bunch of reasons why people want to believe any one individual has that capacity over another. Let's just pretend for a minute that Logan Paul was in fact being genuine. He bought a $3.5 million box of cards because BBCE had authenticated it. He has every reason to hope until the very bitter end that that box is in fact a legitimate box because, again, it was authenticated, right? Right. But, as I previously said, these guys probably aren't the ones properly equipped to be authenticating Pokemon cards. And in the same way, if you buy a PSA graded card that's very expensive and that's a PSA 10, you want to hold out every hope that you'll get top dollar for that card and that someone's not going to come along and scrutinize the card and say, well, there's actually a slight defect on the card that I think takes away from the overall PSA 10 grade that it got. Because again, PSA authenticated it. And in very much the same way, we all have our biases towards authentication. But there's an objective and there's a subjective truth that we all have to kind of deal with. Subjectively, we want our stuff to be real, right? You spent money on it, you want it to be real. Objectively, it either is real or it is not real. And that's the process we're currently going through, where everybody wants their stuff to be real, everybody wants their stuff graded, and if you need any particular evidence of this, look no further than the number of grading card services that have popped up over the past year. Many of them have been called basement services, where they literally popped up during the pandemic or during the PSA shutdown because, you know, they were filling a necessary gap. However, just because they're grading trading cards doesn't mean they're qualified to do so. And so, it's another situation where we're experiencing this crisis of competency within the Pokemon TCG. As we continue to gain more and more exposure and as we continue to see more of the world interact with Pokemon cards and realize their value, we're also going to have a lot of, dare I say, false prophets who pop up out of thin air and insist that they have the necessary experience and the relevant skills in order to make determinations on value, on authenticity, and on the overall quality of a vintage Pokemon card or Pokemon card product. And that, by its very nature, is cause for concern, because in this hobby, it's very easy to say you have those experience and skills, but it's very, very difficult to have been around long enough to either be recognized for those skills or to simply prove that you have them. Now, at the end of the day, to wrap up today's video, I think Logan Paul made a series of mistakes along the way. Again, many of you know I'm, I guess, something of a Logan Paul sympathizer. I genuinely think he's welcome to come into the hobby and drop any number of money. And again, I've made these comments in the past, so it should come as a surprise to no one who regularly views the channel. And if you're new here again, hi, I don't think it's the worst thing that Logan's in the hobby. The thing that I do realize, though, is that he could have gone about this better. In a live stream with Gary, he even said as much. He said, I probably should have just gone to Gary and got Gary's opinion. Yeah, you probably should have got Gary's opinion, Logan. Sorry. But here we are. Here's what we're doing. You learn the hard way, but this just goes to highlight the need for authenticity and the absolute critical nature of authentication in our hobby. Again, there's simply no substitute for the experience and skill and the eye that comes with time and presence in this hobby. And whether you had a YouTube channel, you were doing it in your kitchen or something of the sort, those are the people you want on your side when you have a question about a $3.5 million box of Pokemon cards. But with all that said, friends, thanks again for checking out today's video. I do hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, like I said, leave a like down below, and hey, if you're not already or you're new here, feel free to subscribe to join the Gengar Gang. Other than that, I hope you guys are having an amazing Friday, have a great weekend, and we will talk soon. Peace.
offer